questions on chapter 4. Now you have a calculator and a piece of paper to write down something if we needed to do the calculations, all right? Chapter 4 is on climate change. To understand the climate change, you have to understand carbon compounds on Earth. Carbon compounds are mainly found as hydrocarbons. There are series of hydrocarbons with one carbon atom and increasing carbon atom. The first one is with one carbon atom is called methane. Meth means one carbon atom. Eth means two carbon atom. Ethane, methane, ethane. Propane is 3 carbon atoms. Butane is 4 carbon atoms. Pentane, hexane, heptane, octane, nonane, decane. All these are up to 10 carbon atoms. The formula of a hydrocarbon, saturated hydrocarbon, is obtained by second question. Second question is general formula for an alkane with certain carbon. Answer is B. For example, C3H8 is formula for propane. How do you get the C3H8? Cn, N is 3, 2N plus 2N, 2 times 3 plus 2 is 8. For example, butane will be C4H10. Like that, you can calculate for formula for any hydrocarbon alkane. What is the formula for octane? Octane is 8 carbon. 2N plus 2 is 18. So therefore answer is C. So now you know how to get the formula of hydrocarbons. What is the formula of methane? Methane is 1 carbon atom, CnHn, 2n plus 1, 2n plus 2, 2 times 1 plus 2 is 4, CH4. That's how you get it, okay? Now the carbon cycle is important for keeping track of where the carbon cycle on the Earth. So carbon cycle goes from atmospheric carbon dioxide to carbon dioxide stored in trees. Then trees goes underground, become fossil fuel and coal. Then carbonate rock seas also absorb carbon dioxide and form carbonate rocks, and carbonate rocks move in from the sea to the tectonic activity moves them to the exposed surface on Earth. Then they can weather out and produce carbonate, and we use carbonate for making cement and things like that. Number 5, a carbon store is a natural or artificial sink that accumulates and store carbon containing chemical compound. Which of the following is not a carbon store? Soil and organic matter is a carbon store. Ocean surface also absorb. Corals are formed and things like that. Ocean surface is a carbon store. Phytoplankton, that the green algae floating on the sea, is not a store because it's eaten by fish and transitory, and it ends up in fish and fish. So it's not a store, but it goes down to the sea floor and become organic matter and plant material. Then they can become natural gas under pressure of the earth and form fossil fuels. So answer is A. Phytoplankton is not a carbon store. Process to move carbon from one form to another, which is the following process. Move from one form to other is vegetation, is rock formation. Coal and oil gas are there. It doesn't change it from another form. Vegetation also there. But the rocks are formed in the seas and carbonate rocks and then move by tectonic activity to the surface rocks. Where does the carbon cycle begin? Carbon cycle is a continuous cycle. There's no ending, or it's just going in around a merry-go-round. There's no ending side. It's always on the move. So cycle does not have a beginning. Which of the following carbon stores hold the most carbon? Atmosphere, sediment and sedimentary rocks, coal, oil and gas. Right now, used to be coal, oil and gas. They're being depleted. Eventually, they're going to be gone, and we end up with sedimentary rocks, carbon compounds. Right now, highest carbon store is most carbon held by coal, oil, and gas. Looking at the diagram, carbon cycle features. Which of the following process show removal of carbon dioxide bond from atmosphere? It is a photosynthesis that mainly removes carbon dioxide from atmosphere. Therefore, photosynthesis and the oceans also remove. Then answer is A. If photosynthesis is not there, carbon removal is hampered. So if we cut down trees, there's less photosynthesis, and carbon levels in the atmosphere could increase. Most of the mass of tree around us come from carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. A tree, even though huge, most of the organic material, carbon, come from carbon dioxide. So trees are important to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And then the oceans also just remove. How much more carbon dioxide is in the ocean compared to atmosphere? 60 times more in the ocean compared to atmosphere. The amount of carbon in atmosphere is increasing because we are burning fossil fuel at a faster rate. Therefore, photosynthesis cannot keep up with increasing carbon dioxide, and to remove is difficult for now. It's increasing. Soil erosion carries carbon compound from the land to ocean. What other process does the same thing? Weathering and runoff, also soil erosion and weathering, water flow and all that. See, phytoplankton act as a carbon store when they deposit, die and move down into deep parts of ocean. As it is not a carbon store. When they die and deposit in the ocean floor, then they become a carbon store. Which pushes limestone, calcium carbonate formed in the oceans, to the surface where it can be weathered. Tectonic earth movements mean earth plates are slipping around, that the sea floor can become above sea and exposed to surface and weather. Even if you stop burning fossil fuel and firewood, will carbon dioxide continue to be released into the atmosphere? Of course, fossil fuel and firewood is not the only thing. All the living things, when they respire or burn food, release carbon dioxide, and also some microorganisms acted on organic material in swamps and things like that, release carbon dioxide, also methane. Quantifying carbon. This is about the calculations and ionic compounds. So we talk about ionic compounds in chapter 4. When naming a transition metal ion that can have more than one common ionic charge, the numerical value of charge is indicated by C, Roman numeral following the name, like Fe3, Fe2, and Fe3 for Fe2 plus and Fe3 plus ions. We've done that. What are the cations? Which one is not a cation? Iron 3 plus ion is a cation, 3 plus is positive. Sulfate is SO4, that's anion. Calcium 2 plus is a cation. Mercury 1 plus ion is a cation. So, and sulfate is the one that is not a cation. Which of the following is true about composition of ionic compounds? They are composed of anion and cation. That's true statement. They are composed of anion only. No. You have to have a charge balance. Both cations and anion need to be there. They are formed by the two or more non-metallic elements. That's a covalent compound. Correct statement of ionic compound is non-metal, metal-non-metal combination. Which element, when combined with fluorine, would like to form an ionic compound? Fluorine is a non-metal, so you have to look for the metal. It's lithium. All others are non-metals, therefore no ionic compound formed with them. Which of the following compound contains the lead 2 plus ion? You look at the formula. The fixed charges oxide is 2 minus, therefore lead on the A, PbO is Pb is 2 plus. On the C, Pb2O, the is lead. Lead is 1 plus. That's not true. On the B, lead is 4 plus. So D also 1 plus, lead 1 plus. Because oxide and sulfide are 2 negative. So you can tell from the formula which, knowing the ions with fixed charges. What is the correct formula for potassium sulfide? Sulfide is SO3 2 minus, therefore K2SO3 is the correct answer. What type of compound is copper sulfate? It is ionic compound, copper 2 plus, and sulfate ion is a polyatomic ionic compound. That's C. Sulfur hexafluoride is that's a covalent molecular compound. It's a binary molecular compound. Binary means 2 elements. Molecular compounds are usually formed between 2 or more non-metallic elements. Right, that's a C. Sometimes molecular compounds are formed by non-metallic and metalloids also, but that's the only choice here. The naming binary molecular compound number of atoms of each present in the molecule is indicated by prefixes, like carbon dioxide. First atom is not mono don't use for the first element name. P2O5 is diphosphorus pentoxide, like that you use prefixes. When dissolved in water, acid produce hydrogen ions, H plus ions. That's what causes the acidity. When naming acid, prefixes hydro is used when the acid anion is ending chloride, hydrochloric acid. Prefix is hydrochloric, HCl, hydrobromic. Prefixes when the metal anion ends in ide, right? You use. What is the name of sulfate? Hydrogen sulfate, that's the sulfate when the sulfate is sulfuric acid. Hydrosulfuric acid is H2S. Sulfurous acid is H2SO3. When the name of anion that is part of the acid ends in ide, the suffix for the acid is as sulfide, sulfurous acid, like A. What is the formula of hydrosulfuric acid? Sulfide H2S is the correct answer. Hydro is used when the sulfide is the last name of the second metal. What is the correct name for compound cobalt Cl2, CoCl2? Cobalt is 2+, therefore cobalt 2 chloride. D is the answer. What is the correct formula? Barium chloride. There are series of ions. ClO is hypochlorous, hypochlorate. Chlorate is ClO2. ClO3 is chlorate. ClO4 is perchlorate. Chlorate is ClO3, 1-, barium has 2+, therefore answer is C, barium ClO3, 2-. The 2 is the answer. What is the correct formula for calcium hydrogen phosphate? Hydrogen phosphate, that's the second one. B, calcium dihydrogen phosphate. Okay. What does an ide ending in polyatomic ion means? Less or more oxygen in the formula. Sulfate has SO4, 2-. Sulfide has less oxygen, SO3, 2-, like that. So about the equations, important for photosynthesis. Which equation is photosynthesis? Balance equation, number 36. Photosynthesis is carbon dioxide plus water producing oxygen and carbohydrate like glucose here, C6H12O6. The first one is the correct answer. The respiration is a reverse of photosynthesis, therefore D is the correct answer. Burning carbohydrate in oxygen produce is a combustion reaction, but heat is not released. Heat is released in ATP for. That's what we use in our energy balance in human metabolism. D is the correct answer for respiration. What is the coefficient of in the balance equation for combustion of C7H16? That's heptane, 7 carbon atoms. The balance equation is to balance for coefficient of oxygen, so you have to balance it. How do you balance it? Put a 7 in front of carbon dioxide and 8 in front of H2O to 8 times 2 is 16. Then now oxygen balance is like 8 oxygen plus 14 oxygen is 22, is 22 oxygen atoms on the product side. So 11, if you put 11 in front of oxygen, it's 11 times 2 is 22. Therefore, coefficient in front of oxygen is 11. Octane is one of the principal components of gasoline. Gasoline has octane. How many moles of carbon dioxide are produced during the combustion of 3 molar octane? When you balance this equation, carbon C8, you put 8 electrons, a stoichiometric coefficient of 8 in front of carbon dioxide. 1 produce 8, therefore 3 produce 24. 8 times 3 is 24. Answer is C. 1 mole produce 8 moles. 3 moles of octane would produce 24. Answer is C. Now we have gone over some of the questions like this in slides. Calculate the mass of 2.50 10 to the 4 molecules of nitrogen gas. Nitrogen gas is N2. So N2 is 1 mole of nitrogen is 14 plus times 2, 28. 28 is the molar mass of nitrogen, 28. So 28. So 1 mole of 28 multiplied by 28 divided by Avogadro number, get the mass of nitrogen gas molecule. So that multiplied by 20.5 10 to the 4. So what I mean is 28 divided by 6.022 28 divided by 6.022 10 to the 23. I get 4.46 10 to the 23. Let me do it. 28 divided by 6.026422. It's a syntax error. Okay. 28 divided by 6.022. 23. .69 10 to the negative 23, 1 mole of mass of 1 mole. So that multiplied by 2.5 10 to the 4. So this multiplied by 2.5 exponent 4. I get 1.6 10 to the 18. 1.6. That's the correct answer. See, that's how you do it. You have to sit down and do it. Find the molar mass of ethanol. How do you find it? C is the answer. 12 times 2 is 24 plus 6 is 30. 30 plus 16 is 46. So that's how you add up. You get the molar mass. Molar mass of fluorosine, known as Prozac. How do you get C? You 16 times 12 times 16 plus hydrogen is 1 plus another 16. Fluorine is 19.99. So nitrogen is 14.01. Oxygen is 16. You add up, you get the number 295.3 molar mass. How many atoms are present in 0.375 moles of palladium atoms? So 1 mole of palladium atom is 6.002 10 to the 23. So that will multiplied by 3.75, 6.022 10 to the 23 multiplied by 10 to the 23 multiplied by 0.375. I get 2.25 10 to the 22. C is the correct answer. Just like that, you need to take the calculator and keep doing how to get the number. All right? What is the mass of exactly 500 sulfur atoms? Sulfur is 32.02. So 1 mole of sulfur is 32. One atom, to get one atom, you have to 32.02 divided by 6.022 10 to the 23. That's one atom of sulfur. 5.31 10 to the negative 23. Multiply that, then 500 atoms multiplied by 500. I get the answer 2.65 10 to the negative 20. Like C is the answer. Now you understand this should be done, and you have to know how to convert moles, grams to moles, moles to atoms, things like that. Okay, number 48. Coal is complex mixture of substance. They are approximated by the formula that calculate the present mass of carbon in coal. In carbon, when you add the formula mass, I already did that. 12 times 135 plus 96, 9 times 16, 14.01, 32.02, adds up to 1906. That's the total mass. So amount of carbon is 12 times 135 divided by 12 times, that's the carbon mass. 135 is the carbon mass divided by 1906. I get 84.99%, 84. So answer is A. It's rounded over to 85. How do you calculate percent chlorine in freon? You take the molar mass you add up all the molar mass, then there are 3 chlorines, 3 times 35.5 divided by molar mass of freon, you get the answer 76. I got that answer. Calculate the percent mass of fluorine in sulfur hexafluoride. Fluorine is 6 times 19.99 divided by total mass of sulfur added up, sulfur and 6 fluoride atoms, then you get the answer 78%. So you could do these calculations yourself and come up with the answer. I have gone through them and they work. Okay, why does it matter where carbon atoms end up? Carbon cycle refers to movement of carbon through living organisms, atmosphere, sea, and the earth. That's the carbon cycle. Now we're going to go on to greenhouse gases. What international agreement attempt to reduce greenhouse gas emissions? Kyoto Protocol. Remember in debate meetings, Mike Pence don't want to get into protocols like environmental protection. So, but Democrats want to sign up with the protocol to save the environment. The greenhouse and enhanced greenhouse effect refer to return of approximately 80 to 80%. So we absorb 47%, 77% is 47% absorb, 37% release, is close to 80% is reflected back to Earth. Although carbon dioxide is primary compound discussed with respect to global warming, other common atmospheric components are there also. But the global warming potential of carbon is high because carbon dioxide exists relatively high concentration. So ozone also a greenhouse gas, but it's very little. So ozone is, and carbon dioxide is increasing also. Therefore, global warming potential is high for carbon dioxide. How do you recognize a greenhouse gas? Greenhouse gases, there are 6 of them. We're going to look into that in a minute. What is the highest concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in modern times? We look at graph before. It increases from 250 to 400. So B is the correct answer. With atmospheric component does not contribute to global warming. Water does, carbon dioxide does, nitrogen doesn't, ozone does. But the water remain constant, but the carbon dioxide is increasing. Therefore, more emphasis on carbon dioxide now. Although greenhouse gases like to account for problem of global warming, they are also possible for make Earth habitable. What would be the temperature on Earth in the absence of the effect of carbon dioxide and water, negative 18. Right now it is about 15 degrees Celsius average temperature of the globe. Most abundant greenhouse gas in the Earth's atmosphere is water, most abundant. But it's not changing. Water is there. The carbon dioxide is increasing. Which of the process plays the most important role in the effect? Which process plays the most important role in the effect? Energy from sun is reflected back to the atmosphere. Energy from the sun is absorbed by the atmosphere. Energy from the sun release is absorbed by the atmosphere. Energy radiated from Earth is absorbed by the atmosphere. Which of the process plays most important role in greenhouse gas effect? That need to be specific. Energy radiated from the Earth's surface is absorbed by atmosphere. Atmosphere has greenhouse gases. Which explanation account for the fact that on the average, cloudy nights are warmer than clear nights? Because the water, clouds add water, are composed of water vapor and is a strong greenhouse gas. When it's cloudy, it's warmer. The greenhouse gas effect refers to process by which atmospheric gases trap and return infrared radiation to the radiated by the Earth, return them. Radiative forcing back to Earth. How does greenhouse gases work? And first we go through Lewis structures. Acetylene, C2H4, C2H2. What is the Lewis structure? Acetylene has carbon has 4 valence electrons, hydrogen has 1. There are 10 electron pairs, 10 electrons or 5 electron pairs. If you look at the first structure, there's 5 bonds. That's 10 electron pairs, 5 bonds. So that's the correct Lewis structure. Others are not showing detail of valence electron. Lewis structure of acetic acid. The bond angles are not drawn in the scale. The question is that middle carbon atom, what is the geometry? It has 3 groups, no lone pairs. 3 groups, CH3 groups and oxygen group and OH group. 3 groups arranged around a central atom create a trigonal planar. The angle is C, 120. O to O to O bond angle in oxone molecule is not exactly 120 because lone pair repel each other, electron pair give greater space than the bonding electron pairs. Because it's kind of a oxygen bond is pushed away from 120, is 190. Predict the geometry of nitrous oxide. There's 2 double bonds between nitrogen and nitrogen-oxygen. Therefore, it's a linear molecule. Two groups, no lone pairs around the central atom. That's linear molecule geometry. Determine the shape of the geometry of pH3. pH3 is similar to ammonia. It has 3 hydrogen groups and 1 lone pair. It's a modified tetrahedral arrangement, is trigonal pyramidal. What is the effect of absorption of infrared energy on matter? they create vibrations in the chemical bond, increase the vibration of chemical bond. UV breaks the chemical bonds. Remember, we talked about UVC bond breaking oxygen bond in oxygen molecule. The vibrational mode is important, how they might vibrate in the carbon dioxide. Now, symmetric vibration in A is symmetric, therefore doesn't create charge change in the charge distribution or polarity. So BCD, we talked about it, BCD cause polarity. Which vibration mode of is expected to contribute to, not expected to, A is the answer. Argon, which is comprised of 1% of atmosphere, argon is a lot. It's 20 times more abundant than carbon dioxide, but does not contribute to global warming, which account for this fact. The argon is a monoatomic ion, there's no vibration. So therefore, single atom doesn't have bonds, therefore cannot vibrate, do not vibrate. Therefore, they cannot reflect back infrared towards Earth. Radiative forcing is 0. Neither nitrogen nor oxygen are greenhouse gases because their overall electric charge distribution doesn't change when they vibrate. The molecular shape has something to do with how they interact with radiation. Oxygen and nitrogen doesn't absorb IR radiation, infrared. Tropospheric ozone is a greenhouse gas. Why ozone is not assigned to global warming potential? Answer is ozone has relatively short lifetime in the troposphere. Its distribution is not uniform and carbon dioxide is more always there, up there and in the atmosphere. So it counts more for global warming potential than ozone. Carbon dioxide is. Ability of molecule to absorb infrared radiation is measured by IR spectrometer, which report the centimeter minus 1 centimeter. That is same as the energy unit. So we use the wave number of wavelength in 1 centimeter, which is a frequency of light, specific to frequency of light. That's the energy of the light, wave numbers in IR radiation. Scientists believe they know the average global temperature over a period of last 160,000 years, which ISCO sample architect provide this information. Global temperature data is C. Deuterium to hydrogen ratio in the ice shows warmer climate, that the temperature is high. From the ratio you can tell where the temperature was. The history of average global temperature last 60 is derived from isotopic analysis. Scientists study the same question here in water. Scientists have correlated average global temperature with atmospheric carbon dioxide levels during the last 160,000 years using ISCO data. How the carbon level determined? Carbon level is determined by measuring carbon dioxide concentration trapped in the bubbles in the ice layer that we talked about. Which of the following is the lowest albedo? albedo is change in weather pattern. The lowest caused by albedo caused by ocean. We haven't gone over that one too much. If the average temperature of Earth is currently 15 Celsius, what does the model line given below? Global temperature is 2080. 2080 is somewhere around 16. So global temperature is right now 0, equivalent change. There's a change of about 3.5. 3.15 added up to 3.5. 15 plus 3.5 is 17.4 approximately. That's D. Which substance regulated by the Kyoto Protocol is carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide. Nitrous oxide also greenhouse gas, but it's not present and in large amount. Sulfur hexafluoride is present in large amount than nitrous oxide. Therefore, answer is all three. C is carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and sulfur hexafluoride. That's the answer. Kyoto Protocol controls emissions of these all three. Land use change has big impact on global warming because of the effect of albedo. So land use ratio of electromagnetic radiation by the albedo is the ratio of electromagnetic radiation reflected by the surface to the amount of radiation hitting that surface. That's same as radiative forcing. So albedo is also considered as a radiative forcing. Radiative forcing are factors that influence the surface Earth incoming and outgoing radiation. That's the answer. In order to make useful prediction, which factors must be accounted by the climate model? All of them. Cooling effect of atmospheric aerosols, smoke, haze, cloud cover, change in land use, combustion of fossil fuels. You have to consider all of these in prediction. The graph shows the mean temperature over 160,000 years, determined ice core data. Which of the graph A to D represent the carbon dioxide concentration in air over the same period of time? So answer should be A. I have C. C doesn't correlate with that. Lower the temperature, lower the carbon dioxide. So answer is A, not C. Do you see that it correlated with carbon dioxide data in the bottom? Lower the temperature, lower the carbon dioxide. Answer is A. I'm going to correct that one right now and put that back in there. I cannot correct it here, I will correct it in there. IPCC report that attach probabilities of prediction made which were considered very unlikely. The observed warming of 100% a year is due solely to climate variability. climate variability is changing in natural way. It's not just happen. It is human and anthropogenic. This is just the natural only, they say. It's not very likely. Look at the future world. Identify the possible consequence of global warming. All of them. Increase in forest growth in the northern atmosphere, weakening of ocean current, increase in average relative humidity, all of them. Which particle might be described as carbon sequestration? Which practices? D, 1 and 3 only. Planting trees sequester carbon. 3 is pumping carbon dioxide deep into the ocean. There's a possibility of collecting carbon dioxide and pumping deep into the sea to carbonate rocks. That's called carbon sequestration. Which process or processes are expected to reduce the level of atmospheric carbon? Decaying plant and animal remains. No, it doesn't decrease. The growth of trees, yes. Formation of carbonate rock, yes. Animal respiration, no. So 1 and 3 only. That's the answer. Which country has the highest per capita emission of carbon dioxide? United States. So we are leading in everything. Industrial revolution is a key point in Earth atmospheric history because prior to the time, large deposit of petroleum and coal not being used in energy sources. So now, right now, we are drilling and taking out the crude oil and burning like hell. So the atmosphere is getting bad. The internationally accepted atomic mass standard is carbon-12 because it's selected arbitrarily and it's a convenient standard. 12 grams of carbon is the 1 mole. In order to make useful prediction, which factors must be accounted by the climate model? Aerosol emission, land use, solar irradiation, so all 3. In their 4th and most recent report published in 2007, vast majority of scientists agreed several key points, which is the following is not one of this. Recent warming. The Earth is getting warmer. All of the above are key points. So these are the key points. This question is not right. Which one is not one of those points? I think all of the above question should be changed to which one of those points agreed upon. So all of above. I will change that to which of the following are ways that aerosols may affect climate. So you guys go through this. Only another 105 and get ready for test 2. Okay. You guys are there?